Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with a snack habit. Bye, bye. Let's get straight to the intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate all the support. I'm very humbled by it. So, Lucky from Hoodstocks says Cain Velasquez is or was a Norteno. Is there any truth to that? Was Cain Velasquez functioning as an active Norteno while incarcerated? Well, I'm here to tell you that's not true. You know, the survey says that there's a lie, right? And not a lie made to disrupt Cain Velasquez's release. It's not a lie that's made by someone who tends to do these types of things, because I got a lot of respect for Lucky from Hoodstocks and what his input is on a lot of situations, and how he either shows a lot of respect for Vatos up north or just doesn't participate in the disrespect, right? That's just the truth. I watch Hoodstocks all the time. And yes, just like any other podcast, sometimes people are just going to say things that are absolutely wrong, and it's a mistake, and it is what it is. Okay, I remember Loca being on Hoodstocks a couple months back and speaking about the Stockton mass shooting incident and saying it was Norteños that did it, like if it was just she took a breath of air, right? Again, there was no reasoning behind that, no input to say that's who it was, and was kind of the blame game. But at the same time, a lot of people swept it under the rug. They said she's female, she doesn't really know the gang politics or what's going on, so let that go. The fact is, if you continue to put out a narrative about people or gangs or anyone without any knowledge that you can't get in college, what's going to happen is people are going to take that and run with it. They're going to believe it. Now, it's not a big deal to say Cain Velasquez is a Norteño or that he ever functioned as one, because I think right now pretty much everybody knows that is untrue. That is false, right? Cain Velasquez has never been and will never be a Norteño because he is not a gang member, period. He is basically what you would call a civilian. Someone who grew up in areas where, yes, Norteños are prevalent, Norteños are deep, but never got involved in the mix. Now, does he have Norteño friends? I'm sure he does. Anyone that lives in the city of San Jose has association or friendships with people that claim the North. Just like if you lived in Los Angeles, you're probably going to know someone who represents the South Side, that double S, right? But that doesn't mean you participate as a gang member with them, you align yourself with them, or you're even loyal to them. All that means is, hey, they're doing their thing, you're doing yours. Now, a little background on Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez was born in the city of Salinas, but quite contrary to what people think, even though the city of Salinas probably has the majority of their gang members being Norteños, the history of Salinas being the mecca of the Northern movement, basically the Brown House or the White House, however you want to call it, there's also Southerners there. There's also a small community of Southsiders, well-established, that have been there for decades, that live in Salinas. So that goes to show you, just because you're Mexican, you're brown, and you're born in Salinas, that doesn't automatically make you a Norteño. They put a diaper on you, not a red paño. Okay, so anyone that's born in Salinas, people immediately are like, hey, he's Mexican, he's born in Salinas, he must be a Norteño. No, because I know a couple Southsiders that were born in Salinas as well. No disrespect to the Vatos and Salas pushing that Norteño movement, but the truth is, and facts are out there. Now, upon being born in Salinas, Cain Velasquez moved to Arizona and was raised in Arizona the majority of his life. In fact, he went to the university out there in Arizona, wrestled at that university, did very well, was not involved with gang violence, gangs, doesn't dress like a gang member. His persona is not a gang member. When a lot of people seen him make it to the UFC and he had that brown pride tattooed on him, a lot of people took that as exactly what it was, brown pride. He was proud of his ethnicity. He was proud to be representing the Mexican-American culture. You know, Cain Velasquez was the first Mexican-American heavyweight champion of all times in the UFC. So there was a lot to be proud of. But that tattoo, that city of Salinas, that representing out there in Arizona as a person, didn't make him a Norteño. That made him a brown person, happy to be brown and representing it well, right? Now, Cain Velasquez ends up in San Jose. And you might say to yourself, you got Salinas, you got Arizona, now you got San Jose. Why did he move to San Jose? Did he go out to San Jose because he was a Norteño striving and wanted to participate in the shenanigans that are happening out there in San Jose as we speak? Absolutely not. Cain Velasquez went to San Jose because he is part of the MMA club out there called AKA, where he trains. That's where his team was. He's from Team AKA. They've trained people like Daniel Cormier, people like Khabib Nurmagomedov, and his father. That was their base out in California. And anyone that knows, the AKA gym is located on the south side of San Jose. That's why Cain Velasquez was there. Cain Velasquez took roots in a place where he was trained for the UFC and ended up buying a house and ended up raising his children and his family out there in San Jose. Now, that doesn't mean he hasn't associated with Norteños, because like I said, if you live in a place like Salas or even San Jose, you're going to run into a lot of Norteños. And that doesn't mean that interaction has to be gang-related. You might know someone who still is from Palmas or Horseshoe or whatever gang that's out there, right? Metal Fair and all these different Norteño gangs. But he's also going to be in San Jose where there's a lot of upstaters too. Barrio Su 13, Su Santos Pride, all these different gangs, right? So he might have association. He might live closer to where they represent. It's all congested. There's north and south barrios all over the place in San Jose. Now, of course, Norteños are the majority, but that doesn't mean shit. You know, no one knows who that guy's friends with, who Cain Velasquez is associating with, or what gym he frequents that North or South go to. Okay, that's just the way it is. When Lucky from Hoodstocks said, and I quote, that he was just wanted to send his respects and he was happy, basically, just like all of us were, that Cain Velasquez was able to get out on them bogus-ass charges. I mean, look, he did shoot, whatever. It's water under the bridge now. But I think we all know what he shot for and why. And I think we could all respect it, especially us parents, us fathers, right? There's never a room for being a vigilante, but there is room for being vigilant. Okay, there's room for being a proud father and a father that's going to protect his cubs no matter what. And that's just it, right? So when Lucky from Hoodstock says, hey, man, respects Cain Velasquez is out. Of course, it's a hot story, man. He just got out. Everybody's talking about it. He says, even though he's a Norteño. So this is a perfect situation, an example of the North and South divide. You know, that respect to Cain and letting everyone know, hey, man, that's cool that vato got out. That's cool that he's out there with his family. That's cool that he did his time like a real one, took it on the chin and went out there and just did his thing. Everything, all that doesn't even matter, because the key to that whole little statement was, even though he's a Norteño. What is the difference between North and South that's so bad that you have to say, even though he's a Norteño? Like, yeah, man, it's cool, even though he's one of them guys, right? Like, fuck them guys, basically. Look, I understand that Lucky is a representative of the double S, the Southsiders, right? And me, myself, I lived on the opposite spectrum, right? With the Norteño cause for a lot of years. But going to the youth authority, to Fred C. Nellis and Whittier, and being around several Southern gang members, Southerners, Southsiders representing the double S, I gained a lot of respect for their get down. I gained a lot of respect for the way they carry themselves. And one of the things, it was an eye-opening experience to me to understand that there was never, even though they're a Southsider, it was always, even though they're brown, right? Mexican. Same shit, just different areas that we grew up in. People always ask me, Gunner, you show a lot of respect to the South Side. You should have been a Sureño, but I'm not, though. Okay, if I would have grew up in Southern California, I'm sure as a brown man, I probably would have gravitated towards that. If I'd have grew up in Fresno, I'd have been barking all over the motherfucking place. If I'd have grew up in Chicago, Amor del Rey, I probably would have been a Latin King or a Count or whatever the fuck they got going on there, because 9 times out of 10, I probably would have still been a gang member because I was enraptured and believed that being a gang member was part of the fabric of our culture. See, I didn't just do it for the money and the women and the notoriety and the tattoos and to look cool, right? Because I still look stupid, right? But what I did it for was because I thought that that's how you got respect within the fabric of our culture. I thought that was part of our culture. It is to some degree, but that's what I thought, right? Anyways, it's not about me. It's about Cain Velasquez and Lucky. Lucky said, shout out to Cain Velasquez, even though he's a Norteno. Well, the bubble burster is Cain Velasquez has never been, wasn't, and never will be a Norteno. And it's not because he couldn't be, because I'm sure the cause would embrace him immediately. He's a good, upstanding individual, did his time like a real one. He's definitely a shooter, right? No more alleged. That's done. He fits the mold of the Norteno movement and what it's supposed to be, right? Someone who has pride and loves his people, but his family as well, right? That's exactly what a Norteno strives for, the betterment of his people, the equal opportunity, social status of equality, right? Being given and allowed to be given equal rights under the protection of your cause. That's just what it is, right? So he definitely fits the mold, but he's never participated in it because it's not his world. Just because you're from places like Los Angeles, Salinas, Fresno, San Jose doesn't automatically make you a gang member. Doesn't mean that you have to participate in the shenanigans. See, every choice you make in life is your choice. Cain Velasquez made the choice to shoot at the person accused of hurting his child. That was his decision to make that day. That was on his mind. Okay, he made the decision to take it on the chin, take the deal, and go to prison and do his time. Now, he wasn't placed on an active Norteno or Southsider yard, not even close. And a lot of people keep overlooking that point because, and I do as well. Cain Velasquez is a civilian. He's a person that's not a criminal. He did a criminal act and he did his time for it like anyone would, right? But Cain Velasquez didn't go to no GP mainline yard where people are banging and carrying knives in their ass. He didn't do all that. Cain Velasquez went to a soft, integrated, level 2 yard in Soledad State Prison where nobody is active, where nobody is gangbanging. And yes, he took pictures with a lot of different Mexicans. And I'm sure not every one of those Mexicanos in the pictures at them car shows and everything that was being released on Instagram are Norteños. I'm sure there's a lot of Vatos from LA because on them yards, they're mixed yards. You got dudes from Los Angeles, San Diego, the Inland Empire, Bakersfield, Kings County, Tulare County, Merced County, Stanislaus County, San Joaquin County, Santa Clara County, the Bay. You got a little bit of people from everywhere. And there's going to be a lot of raza from everywhere that were once maybe associated or affiliated or even part of in a hardcore way the North and Southern movements, but they have no longer in good standings. They are no longer participating in that. There's a lot of dudes on them yards that Cain Velasquez was on that went to them yards and stood there. Just they didn't fall off in bad standings. They never told on no one. They didn't get whacked and removed. They didn't do no weird funny shit. They merely got sentenced, went to that yard and decided, fuck that, I'm going to stay right here and do my time. And for that reason right there, they are no longer welcome to the general population. In fact, there's little youngsters that will run around and call them pieces of shit, not because they did anything bad, but because they feel there are people who have done bad on them yards that they function alongside of. Wow, let me burst your bubble one more time. There's people on the GP right now running around telling on everything moving. Anytime dope hits, believe me, they're dropping kites to the program office, right? And people are functioning amongst them without knowing, right? So it's the same thing. The only difference is people know that this guy's no good, or that this guy got fucking skepticism written all over his name. Regardless of the fact of prison politics, it is and always will be the way it is. But Cain Velasquez did not program on a functioning yard with active gang members where he would have had to make a choice. Understand me this. If Cain Velasquez went to a general population yard, GP, active gang, actives, he is brown. He's a brown man. He would have had to make a decision and a choice. He could have ran with the paisas. He could have ran with the Norteños, or he could have ran with the Southsiders, or even the Perro Chatos, the Bulldogs, if he got placed on their yard. But look, here's the kicker, right? Some guys do that. They run with, they're not affiliated. They run with the group who's the deepest on the yard, who has that yard. I have a Theo, man. He's rest in peace, my Theo. I love him. He never was a gang member. He was a hustler, baller, did everything but put a paño on, right? did everything but represent gangs. He hung around Southsiders, Northerners, Bulldogs, everybody that he ran into because that was not his thing. But he was in the lifestyle, like he was with the business. He just wasn't with that particular business. And he ended up going to prison for his first term. And guess what? They placed him in Wasco State Prison. And then I think he was placed in Wasco State Prison and then another prison he ended up going to. But he was placed in Wasco with the Bulldogs. And having not been associated and affiliated, he gravitated towards the Mexicans on the yard, which were the Bulldogs. And he got embraced and became a perro chato. Got out, blew everyone's fucking mind. We couldn't believe it. I said, motherfucker, you ain't even been to Fresno, right? But that's what it was. So, yes, if Cain Velasquez went to prison on a general population yard, he could have been north or south if he chose, or even ran with the Paisas. But he didn't. He went to an integrated yard where you don't have to claim it. Your loyalty doesn't lie with anyone. And he chose, obviously by the pictures, to be associated and affiliated with brown people that look like him on the yard. But that doesn't mean that's all he kicked it with. Because from what I heard, Cain Velasquez was cool with the whole yard and everybody was just cool with that. Of course, no one wanted to fuck with that dude. Period. He got hands and feet that are devastating. For Lucky from Hoodstocks, who said, man, shout out to Cain. He's glad he's out, even though he's a Norteño. You know, it's kind of a messed up statement to make because it's like, bro, you know what I'm saying? I'll give you respect and props for being Mexican, but you're one of them guys, right? You know, I've never seen Lucky disrespect the Northern movement. I've never seen Lucky take the initiative to do that. He was wrong in two ways right here. And shout out to Lucky from Hoodstocks. I love his channel, man. I think it's in position to be the most lucrative and best Southern California alleged active, right, podcast out there. No one could deny Hoodstocks, and that's something Lucky built with his own hands from the ground up. You got to respect that man for being, if anything, a businessman and an entrepreneur, someone who took something and made it his own, his dream, and he's living it, right? But sometimes, just like any other podcast, you say some stupid shit, right? Something that just doesn't make no sense. And there's going to be people like myself that are going to be, why'd you say that? Makes no sense. First of all, Cain Velasquez never was a Norteño. So when he said, even though he's a Norteño, you got to show proof, facts, and why you believe that. If you're just listening to the internet and people saying, oh, man, he was born in Salinas. He's from San Jose. No, he's not from neither one of those places. He was born in one place and went to work in another. That's it. If anything, the majority of his life and what he represents is Arizona. And that's facts, right? So that man is non-associated nor affiliated with the Norteño cause whatsoever. Now, I know there was a lot of young Norteños running around like, Cain's one of us. Cain's one of us. You ain't even one of you, bro. Stop it. You're a wannabe, homie. And Cain doesn't want to be, man. So stop putting him in that boat. Right? Now, the second thing that Lucky said, even though he's a Norteño, shows that no matter what is said, no matter the respect shown, there's always going to be that north and south thing in his head. There's always going to be that animosity or that, it's that, the Heisman Trophy. It's always going to be like that. I know a lot of Norteños, man, that are like that as well. They're no longer gangbanging actively or like that, and they still don't want to fuck with Southerners. They're like, yeah, bro, I'm always going to be a homie right here, man. I can't fuck with them fools. Bro, you're not even gangbanging. You got 6 kids, a minivan, and a fat-ass old lady. What are you talking about, bro? Yeah, but I still don't fuck with them things, man. I don't fuck with them vatos. Right? Then there's people like me that I respect everyone. I know what it is. I know killers when I see them by the dozen. Do you understand that? I know, not even because of that, but just because they're brown, man. And I've always said, you know, as an active Norteño when I was, right, let's not deny the fact that the establishment of gang banging, not necessarily Norteño movement, but gang banging was done in the Los Angeles area, the mecca of gang banging in California. That's where it all started. That's where Vatos were really, really doing what they were doing. And they were during the 90s when the gang banging was real, man. LA was violent, right? And everybody was kind of pattering their shit, pattering, is that how you say it? After LA. Patterning, or however the fuck you say that word. Sometimes I can't say shit and I just say it the way I want to say it. But everybody was modeling their shit, there's a better word, after Los Angeles in that area, Southern California, north and south, everybody. So that's just the fucking facts and the truth. Anyways, Lucky says Cain Velasquez is a Norteño. Gunner says no, he's not. Never was, right? But I'm glad that people think that. But he wasn't, man. Again, shout out to Hoodstocks. He got it wrong this time, man, but we'll get it right next time, I'm sure, man. And as far as him saying, hey, respect, love, I'm glad you got out, man, even though you're a Norteño. Like, damn, you want Norteños to stay in prison forever? That's fucked up, bro. You know, let them out out too. Shout out to everyone. With that being said, man, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's gonna be the head that wears the crown. I'm gonna continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. This video right here is sponsored by Barrio Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're ever in the Turlock, California area, the Central Valley, the 209, make sure you pull up to the Barrio and get you something cold to drink. Also, this video is sponsored by Sticks and Stones Yard Service out there in the big bad state of Arizona, where Cain Velasquez is from and wasn't functioning as a Norteno. Make sure you pull up to Sticks and Stones, give him a phone call, man, and he'll pull up to your area and take care of you on the yard service. We need to support Raza and look out for local businesses. This is the gun. Bang, bang.